The heart of high school wrestling is here in Adams County, and nobody covers it like WZBD.
You guys got a heck of a view.
It's time for Haggard, Hirschy, and Zelt High School Wrestling Weekly.
Everybody wants to be there.
It's the coolest thing in the world.
90 minutes of interviews, results, discussions, and prognostications.
I'm excited.
As Hall of Famer Rex Brewer and Dane Filling bring you another episode.
We hope that you can join us here
Live from
The Double Eagle Clubhouse Grille.
on Channel Z,
I'm excited.
92.7 FM.
Well, good evening, wrestling fans, and welcome once again to another episode of the Haggard, Hirschy, Zelt High School Wrestling Weekly, hosted by the Double Eagle Clubhouse Grille. Nice little crowd starting to roll in here. A couple of our regulars are here already. One of our guests is here already, but welcome to the show this week.
Yeah, a little bit of a late arriving crowd, but I think everybody just trying to take a deep breath. I know we've really been building up to Team State, going all the way back to, if you think about it, mid-December, early December, we were talking about who seems to be the favorite to get the last spot in and which teams that are going to get voted in at the end are actually going to have a real impact on the tournament. And obviously there were some teams who got voted in who did awfully well. Some great semifinals matches. And, I was driving home. I was trying not to hit couches on I-69. And I didn't even realize. It was probably an hour had passed before I realized who won 4A. I wasn't paying attention because I wrote it off. So I apologize, Crown Point fans.
Well, they're right in our neighborhood, so we don't see a lot of Crown Point fans.
7-7 and a great duel. The atmosphere was really cool over in 4A. And had the Bears not been playing last night, I probably would have stayed and watched it. But certainly worth it to get home and watch that comeback. Although I could have just gotten home at halftime and I would have missed the bad part.
Because we were covering two teams, we were really tied up over in 1A gym, and usually when one team was wrestling, the other one was not, and we were back and forth, and we really didn't have a break. We took a lunch break, and we were over there, and the South Adams guys said, hey, we're starting now, and we had just sit down to eat lunch, so South Adams had started their consolation wrestleback match when we went back over there, but to us, it's like the field house over there, 3A could have been in another city, and it wouldn't have mattered to us because we were so entrenched in what we were doing with 1A.
I correctly played my intro and timed everything right on exactly 0 of 3 dual meets for Belmont. I'm pretty sure we missed the first 30 to 45 seconds of the opening bout of all 3. So I did a very poor job of timing that. So I definitely apologize for that. We tried to do the best that we could, being split into 3 different places. But, I made the comment to some ladies who were sitting here before we were getting on the air, and I said, man, it really kind of took the air out of yesterday when Belmont dropped those last couple of bouts against Hanover Central and dropped in the 3rd place match. I'm glad that Belmont showed up better than I did in the broadcast because I think my balloon was a little bit deflated. I was really hoping that Belmont could make the finals and take a run at Garrett. I liked the way that Belmont matched up against Garrett. I liked the rivalry there, but it didn't happen. But my daughter was telling me that Coach Myers told the boys that Belmont had never finished in 3rd place in the history of the tournament. I guess I didn't realize that they've had lots of firsts and lots of seconds, and they've finished 4th a handful of times here in the last 5 or 6 years. So congratulations. A Heritage Hills team that made the semifinals, very, very talented. They had some great individuals, and they're going to make a lot of noise, in years to come and in semi-state.
I was thinking in the 1A, Adams Central went up against North Miami, but they didn't really match up very well with North Miami. That Southmont team that had the number 1 seed, that team was talented, and they were young, and I think they would have matched up better with North Miami than Adams Central did. Adams Central really pulled out all stops and was able to beat Southmont by like a real close score. Every score in 1A was 1 or 2 points. They were so close all day long.
Yeah, there were some fun ones in there, 39, 38, and 40
like
to 39. South Adams
times,
won by 1 and lost by 1. Joe Caprino was saying that I think Southmont had 3 guys who were undefeated going into yesterday, and all 3 of them took a loss at 1A. And certainly there was a great collection of really talented individuals, even at 1A and 2A, and then obviously in the 3A and 4A it would have been the exact same. So any other good stories from yesterday?
Oh, man, there was all kind of controversy. We talked about Austin Manley was not cleared because he had some skin issues. South Adams had a guy with skin issues. We talked about it all week long. It coming back, and it ended up affecting the match and the tournament. The officials got involved, and I'd never seen before where
schools who have not been
reconnecting.
Okay. Some of the schools had not been in the team state tournament before, or maybe that coaching staff hadn't brought their team before. We're talking 14 years now. There's been teams who were in the originals and have dropped off and had new coaching staffs and all those types of things. So many people walked up to me, and I know Pat Culp said the exact same thing, and said, "Oh, we're so glad that we're here. Like, I'm so excited that we got invited." I talked to the Griffith coach on his way out yesterday. All of a sudden, I carried a table out to the lobby, and I walked back in, and my wife's taking pictures for the Griffith team because I think they traveled so far that a lot of the people that did come and watch them had already left and were trying to get home, and they didn't have anybody to take their picture. They all wanted to be in the screen. So anyways, the coach from Griffith was just very thankful and said that he'd been working a long time in his career to get one of his programs into an event like that, and that they are going to work their butts off for sectional and their regional to try to qualify automatically so that they can get ready to take part in next year's event.
The first thing I did after round 1, I texted you and asked how your seeds went. What'd you go, 15-1?
Yeah, I think so. We definitely lucked out. There were some close ones at the end, but for the most part, the only top 4 seed who didn't advance was New Prairie, and that was a great match against Heritage Hills, and certainly 2A was the hardest one to seed, in my opinion, because there were really only 1 or 2 head-to-heads throughout the entire field of 12 teams, and so it definitely played out that way. Garrett, the number 1 seed, ended up wrestling the number 2 seed in the final, and the number 3 seed got third. So I think we gave the 4th and the 5th team an opportunity to wrestle. So
well, I know that 1A seemed pretty close, and the nice thing about 1A, other than South Adams and Adams Central being 6-7 miles apart, most of those teams were nowhere close to each other. 1A was really spread out from just about every corner of the state, and there were some really good matches. And the good thing is that those guys got matches against guys that they normally will not wrestle until they get to the state finals.
Yeah, it was very spread out, and as we said, I don't know in how many previous shows now, but I felt like we as the seeding committee really separated the top 4 seeds. And you were talking about matchups. I think some people get too fired up about what the seeds are. All you really want to do is just get into the semifinals and take your shot at somebody, and the seed you want may end up putting you against a team that you don't match up as well with. So,
and I told Ryan Landis when he walked out, I congratulated him on his first year as the official head coach, making it team state and to finish runner-up. And I told him, I said, you guys had to really coach today. It was the old days of just putting 14 guys out there and letting them wrestle and see what happens. That's all gone. When you get that team strategy, and it's like, I know this guy's got a hammer here, and I got to jostle around, and who's going to get their pick of the toss first. I mean, some of those guys were doing some serious coaching all day long, and it showed off, and there were some really good matches that went on. So with that, let's make our way into our first set of commercials. Back with more wrestling talk here on WZBD's YouTube channel.
When faced with the difficult task of making arrangements for your loved one, many emotions and questions arise. What would they want me to do if they were here? Where is the money coming from? How much should I spend? Do they want burial or cremation? The staff at Haggard, Hirschy, and Zelt Funeral Home can help you navigate these tough questions. Make your wishes known and allow us to make sure that your wishes are carried out. Call Ryan Hirschy or Eric Zelt at 260-724-7167 to schedule an appointment today.
Shop local. It's a phrase we hear all the time, but for the staff and family at Package Liquors, it means something extra. Package, with locations in Decatur, Monroe, Berne, and Markle, is a local family-owned business that has been serving local communities for decades. We take your support and patronage and return it by supporting local athletes on WZBD and donating to different organizations across Adams County. The next time you're deciding where to shop, shop local. Shop at Package. It's where your friends shop.
Established in 2018 and owned and operated by Kirby and Chastity Harkless, 4GND stands for Four Girls and Dad, a fully licensed and insured general contractor serving the greater Decatur area. They can take care of your commercial needs from architectural engineering and design, state release, all the way to completion. They also specialize in new homes, new barns, remodels, additions, kitchens, and baths. They might not be a familiar name, but Four Girls and Dad are built on years of experience working in the architectural world and hands-on construction.
Ho, ho, ho. 'Twas the season for giving, and throughout the community, neighbors shopped local with remarkable unity. They found clothes and toys that make children glad, sparkling jewelry for mom, electronics for dad. Why, everything you need to spread holiday cheer is all readily available right now and right here. This reminder to shop local for all your heart yearns comes with Merry Christmas wishes from First Bank of Bird.
Welcome back once again to the Double Eagle Clubhouse Grille, where we're in the next segment for the High School Wrestling Weekly. What you got lined up for us, Dane?
No, I'm just double checking that we're good to go here. Steve mentioning that we've got a rough connection here. I don't know if that's our internet source or what, but when it comes to the first period A, we're going to take a look at the 1A and 2A brackets right away. So let me pull up those. In 1A, maybe it's my internet that's not working. There we go.
What are you on?
I am running on the guest here.
So am I.
Okay, I can go off of it. So obviously, as we said, North Miami comes in and wins a second title. And, of course, they have not lost a dual meet now, I believe, in 2 years. So congratulations to them. They win 44-34 over Adams Central. In the final, they won 41-28 over Rochester. Adams Central won in the semifinals against Southmont 39-35. And Adams Central with a 40-30 win over Alexandria. If you weren't listening to 1A and maybe you were attending 2A, you missed the fact that Alexandria and South Adams were, I believe, 33-32 going into the last bout. And a slam was called, and the young man from Alexandria did not continue. And so that gave Alexandria the win. And so South Adams ends up dropping into the losers bracket, and then they come in against Milan and after taking a round off, and they lose 40-39 in that one, and that drops South Adams all the way down to the 11th place match, and they come out with a very nice 38-37 victory over Madison Grant, and certainly picking up a win in that last match probably felt pretty good considering where they had been and some of the trials and tribulations that they endured. It was a very odd day for South Adams, but, you know, the conversation that we had in the car on the way back, and I always appreciate my wife because she's willing to entertain discussions about wrestling after spending all day watching wrestling. And my son made the comment, wrestling is just, it's so hard. And I said, what do you mean? He said, well, it's just nobody's soft, nobody's nice, nobody's just trying to hold your hand and be pleasant. I said, no, it's not. There's a lot of life lessons to be learned. There's nobody going to be taking it easy on you. Nobody's going to say, oh, you guys are 0-2. Why don't you guys go ahead and have a few extra points, right? I mean, it doesn't work that way. And certainly for South Adams, I think coming through and showing some grit in that last match and picking up a win against Madison Grant shows me that they still wanted to be there and be a part of it, and that they wanted to compete. So, you know, a big shout out. I know there were some big wins in there for South Adams from Nathan Plattner. Gabe Steiner wrestled really well all day. And, of course, down low, Brock Sprunger, Dakota Sprunger, Max Adams, all those guys wrestled really well and continue to wrestle well all season long. For Adams Central, the win over Alexandria was also hard-earned. And as Rex was alluding to, the match against Southmont was quite a battle. Southmont jumped out to, I believe it was 25 or 24 to nothing on the lead as they sort of ran through the Adams Central lightweights. And then in the middleweights, Adams Central, of course, came back. They got wins from Miles Carr, Mav and Dylan and Shorty, and then got up to 75 and 90 with Xander Schwartz and Max Nussbaum, and they pick up wins. And I think it came down to Ethan Funk, and he ends up getting a fall there, and that clinched it. And Ryan Beer gives up the decision in that one, and just so impressed. Rex, I know you haven't had as much chance to watch Adams Central before Saturday. I don't know if you have any observations on Ryan Beer. His ability to stay in matches and keep them low scoring has done Adams Central a lot of good in some of these duels.
Well, he had a tough task in the finals against Hartley Hoover because they made the switch and they thought that Ethan Funk had a better chance of beating the heavyweight, and that's a pretty good heavyweight from North Miami, and I know that Ethan was giving up a lot of weight. But then they put Ryan Beer out against Hartley Hoover, and that's a tough task to fill. I don't think that either way they switch that they win either one of those matches either way.
Yeah, that North Miami lineup was awfully good, and they showed up yesterday, and they take home their second title in a row. So third place went to Southmont. You were talking about how close some of those matches were. So the number 1 seed over number 2 seed, Southmont in third place, 39-35. Fifth place went to Eastside, so they did one better than their seed. And Rensselaer Central beat Northfield 44-31. The ninth place match went to Milan, and definitely a shout out to Milan. You know, Rensselaer Central was a pretty good team, and they beat Milan pretty badly in the first round, but Milan comes back and wins 2 matches and ends up in 9th place. That was awfully impressive from them. So let's take a look at the 2A bracket then, which is what I had. And as we were talking about earlier, all of the seeds held in the opening round, and the only upset in the quarterfinals was that Heritage Hills came through and beat New Prairie 46-31. Garrett ends up beating Hanover Central pretty badly in the finals, 55-14. People who recognize that Hanover Central is going to be a power here in 2A for the foreseeable future. They've got a lot of things going for them. I know talking to Mike Reiser, he was talking about just how good of a coach Coach Bradbury is, and then adding Coach Hawkins has elevated them to another level. And they you know, it was interesting. We talk about the relationships between Adams Central and South Adams, and Adams Central and Belmont, and all those types of things. And certainly the Adams Central boys are interested in what happens to Belmont, and Belmont's interested in what AC and South Adams are doing. But I thought it was interesting that while Hanover Central was wrestling yesterday, there were 3 or 4 Crown Point kids sitting in the chairs on their side watching their match. And so it's just kind of, you know, local teams following along and kids knowing each other, wrestling club, and then maybe deciding to go somewhere else for high school and all those types of things. They definitely feed off of each other. So in third place then, Belmont wins 43-33. New Prairie came back and beat Delta for 5th. And in 7th was Griffith. They beat Owen Valley. I was really impressed with the way Owen Valley wrestled yesterday. They definitely represented themselves well, and we already talked about Griffith earlier, how excited they were to be part of the event. Gibson Southern came back and took 9th. They got beat pretty badly by Delta in the first round, and I wasn't sure whether they were going to be able to be competitive in that 9th through 12th bracket, and they come up and finish 9th. So Yorktown 10th. Jay County got their only win over Bishop Chittard, 71. Apologies for that.
Reconnecting successfully. We're good.
Okay. So, Rex, anything else you want to comments about 1A and 2?
Reconnecting successfully. We should be good now.
Okay. Well, we are at the mercy of our internet. Go back to OBS and see if we're connected then.
It said we're connected. Right here.
Okay. So, once again, we apologize. Our Wi-Fi is simply not cooperating.
It's not Wi-Fiing.
It's not. Yeah, the Wi-Fi is not Wi-Fiing. You were talking about the individuals from Southmont that you were impressed with.
You know, I talked to one of their parents, and they said, yeah, we're pretty young, and we have no seniors in the starting lineup, and that we don't see a lot of Southmont. They're out of our zone, and they're just really tough kids. North Miami was pretty good last year, and then they pick up a transfer in Rex Moore, and he was a hammer for him all day yesterday.
Yeah, that definitely added to their lineup, and you know, it'll be interesting to see some of these really talented 1A and 2A teams and how they compete, not just for sectional and regional titles, but what that semi-state race looks like. I know everybody just wants to write everybody else off and hand Delta the semi-state title, but I've been talking to a lot of people like Belmont would love to win a semi-state title. It's been a long time since Belmont's won at that level. Now, granted, if you go back to the old team state days, then they didn't hand out a team state or a team semi-state trophy, so that's a little bit different, but that would be a real feather in the cap for the Braves, and there's a lot of teams who are going to be in there expecting, when they talk about their team, we got 4 guys who are state. That's all it takes. All it takes is 4 guys. You put 2 in the finals, you get 1 champ, you pick up 2 third places, and you're going to be competitive for a semi-state title because, everybody talks about Delta's 5 studs, Delta's 5 studs. You don't always get all 5 studs through. All it takes is one of those guys to draw a bad draw, to lose a match at regional and get a bad draw. It's not that simple.
Well, somebody asked me, a lot of the AC guys had their phones up and they're going, how did Hanover Central only let Delta score 14 points? And I said, I looked at the lineup. Well, they jostled everybody around. They had them all at different weight classes. They were not where they needed to be. Their hammers were all over the place.
Yeah, they also, if you're in there looking at results and you're really interested in how that dual meet went, don't look too far into it because they have the 285s listed at 113 and a couple other things. There were some issues going on with USA bracketing that I don't know. I think they just kind of at the end entered in some names and got them, and they're not necessarily at the right weights. So if you're going to jump to huge conclusions, you may want to wait a while because I think eventually they'll get those edited out.
Well, the score, 14 points. If you hold Delta to 14 points, I don't care what names you put in the bracket, that's 14 points, right?
That is an observation that we made on the broadcast as well. And then, anybody that can do that is going to be awfully tough to beat. And, it's one of those things.
Well,
matchups make such a difference. You look at how impressive they were to beat Delta like that, and then to take out Belmont, and then to get whomped on by Garrett. It just shows that sometimes it's not your day.
You and I were at Mishawaka. How many guys did they have wrestling in the consolation round and in the finals that day? I mean, they were just packed in that second day of wrestling.
Yeah, and not to say that anybody wasn't ready, but a lot of it comes down to coaching and having your boys ready and to have an attitude. There are teams who I think at the beginning of the season, they think they know where they are, and they think that they're going to compete for this place or get into the semifinals or something like that. And then the season goes on and they realize, boy, I don't know if we're going to have enough to be that good, or maybe you thought you were going to beat a team at state and you lose to them in December, and then you realize that ain't no way we're making up 30 points. But there are other teams who come into the tournament just ready to fight, and I think that makes a big difference too. And that's all part of the game. That's all part of the game of getting your guys prepared. I was reading a report. This is completely off topic, but the South Adams girls coach, Brett Freeman, great coach, writes great write-ups, great motivator of his girls. He wrote in his post-game notes for Saturday's game, we did not show up. We were not ready. It is my fault. I did not have them ready to play. I take this one, and we're going to move on. And sometimes as a coach, that's just the way that it is.
Well, at least you understand what your problems are. I mean, sometimes you can blame your players for making bad mistakes, but a lot of times coaches just have to own up and say, yeah, this is on me.
And talking to Sean Farreau yesterday after everything was over, and my daughter, who's a manager on the team, reiterated that Coach Myers said this to the team. He said everybody for Belmont pretty much did their job on Saturday. They just didn't have enough to get past Hanover Central. They lost a couple of close matches. They had one, not go their way, and that's just kind of the way it is. And sometimes when it's 8-6, 7-7, you got to have all of the things fall in your direction, and it doesn't always happen that way.
Well, we're going to wrap up this segment. We'll be back with more wrestling talk right after this here on WZBD's YouTube channel.
Renowned around the Midwest for his skills and his creative abilities, Nate Bowers and the team at Bowers Paint Studio in Decatur work with a wide range of clients, from collision repair to custom paint jobs for classic cars and motorcycles. Located on Monroe Street on the west side of Decatur, Bowers is your place for body work too, whether it's getting your ride back on the road or finally getting that classic car, the paint job you've always wanted. Stop by or give Nate a call to put the best in the business to work for you.
Wrestling season in Indiana is all about grit, discipline, and heart. And when it's time to celebrate a hard-fought win, Kids Zone Party Rentals in the Indy area has your back. They're proud sponsors of Noblesville, Westfield, and Fishers Wrestling, and proud supporters of Indiana student-athletes. From birthday parties and team celebrations to school events, Kids Zone Party Rentals brings the fun with bounce houses, inflatable games, and unforgettable experiences. Celebrate like a champion. Kids Zone Party Rentals. Locally owned, family-focused, and proud to support Indiana wrestling. Book today at KidZonePartyRentals.com. If you're serious about taking your wrestling to the next level, then Warrior RTC Wrestling Club is the place to be. Every Sunday at 4:30 and Wednesday at 6, boys and girls from different elementary, middle, and high schools come together to build skills, confidence, and lifelong friendships. With high-level experienced coaches and a positive training atmosphere, every Warrior learns to work hard and have fun doing it. Whether you're chasing your first medal or your next state title, Warrior RTC will help you in your relentless pursuit of self-improvement. Visit online at warriorrtc.com to learn more about the year-round wrestling opportunities and train like a champion.
For some of us, summer is the busiest time of year, and we don't always have the time to get the yard looking just the way we like it. That's where Archbold Landscaping comes in. Working hard and growing his business in Adams and surrounding counties, Dan Archbold can take care of all of your mowing and landscaping needs. It doesn't matter if you're in town or out in the country. Dan and his team can mow while you're away, or they can lay down your mulch while you're at work. Interested in pouring a new patio? Check out some of the work Dan has done in recent months and send him an email or a message about what you have in mind. Allow Archbold Landscaping to go to work for you.
Welcome back to the Haggard Hirschy Zelt High School Wrestling Weekly. Dane and I got talking about our swag, and for all you coaches out there who give us free shirts, look, we're wearing them.
Free advertising.
Free hat,
That's
free
right.
free shirt. We do appreciate all those, and we are quite shameless. We'll take any free gear that you want to throw our way. We appreciate everything you get.
I do have an anonymous text in here that the best matchup in 1A was Rex versus that extension cord.
Thank you. It wasn't an extension cord. It was our Wi-Fi cable. It was our Cat 5 line.
Oh, those are the fun stories that make it last. Now, I will have to say, it sounded like you guys won the battle of the hospitality rooms between Franklin and Brownsburg. So.
Yes, we had some serious food.
I tried to go to B-Dubs on Friday night in Brownsburg, and I couldn't get in. There was an hour-long wait. So I ended up at a Mexican restaurant next door. I had some chicken and rice with queso.
I think that was your best choice.
It was definitely my best choice, and I didn't stay up to watch the entire IU game. I had seen enough after the first half.
I sent you the picture. I went to the Waffle House right across the street from my hotel, and I walked in, and there's these really nice waitresses there, and I said, okay, when the fight breaks out at 1 a.m., which one of you is the mean one? And one looked at me, she said, what are you looking at me for? And I said, because you're the one. You're the mean one. She goes, that doesn't happen in this Waffle House. But
well, I think my hotel had a few more stars than yours did, Rex. But I'm glad that you made it down there safely. We had a good time. I will always stand by the fact that one of my favorite parts of being involved in high school wrestling is overnight trips.
Yeah.
The wrestling season would not be nearly as much fun if you just got up in the morning every Saturday and drove to a tournament. I really enjoy sharing stories, laughs, recounting things, talking about fans that are no longer with us, that what they would have done in this instances. And I haven't revealed this yet, but I will, because I'm willing to admit when I make giant mistakes, Rex. I sat down after my Mexican meal on Friday and was going to watch the IU game and grade papers and write basketball stories, and I had forgotten something.
What's that?
My laptop.
You didn't have it?
It was sitting on my bed at home. And I started to freak out, and then I thought, okay, no, hold on. Somebody from Decatur is going to be making this trip. I walked downstairs. I knew that the Belmont fans would be in the lobby, and I said, okay, who's the most likely to get here as soon as possible in the morning that can bring my – and Becky Rubel said, without a doubt, my mother-in-law will be the one who will be here the earliest. And God bless her heart, I called Annette Rubel. I told her what happened. She said, I'm headed towards your house right now. She went. She got my laptop for me. And she and her mom, Marvine, drove, and they were at Brownsburg at 8 a.m., and Belmont fans didn't miss a beat.
And people don't realize this laptop that you're on here is the one you broadcast events with.
Yes,
It's not just the laptop you write stories with.
Yes,
this equipment you needed to broadcast with.
Yeah, so that was a little bit nervy, but then I just kind of had to laugh about it, and she told me a great story about taking Paul to practice one time or to a meet something, and he was all excited to go, and he got out of the car and he ran towards the door, and she honked the horn and she held up his headgear, that he had left. And so she got a kick out of it. And it's just one of those things where you make those relationships right when you meet people at tournaments, and those things go on for generations. It's one of my favorite parts about being a part of high school wrestling.
Well, you've got that overnight trip part of it. Josh Howard, our friend, is in the audience. And I will tell you, as a referee, sometimes during the season, if you drive 50 miles to have a match that's got 7 forfeits and it takes you longer to weigh the kids in and the match last, and you drive home, that's not the fun part. Sectional, regional, semi-state, state, when you get together with your buddies, guys that you may not have seen, the guys from Evansville, the guys from the region, that's when you have fun. And it's almost like you want to try and get through the bad part of the season to get to the good part of the season and to kind of enjoy it. But I tell you what, those last couple of weeks, they go way too fast, and then they're done.
We've talked many years on this show about being sure and certain not to wish away parts of the season in hopes that the next one is going to be better, and that's something that I will always stand by. I never say I can't wait till state, because I can't wait till Thursday. I can't wait till Friday. I guess I could probably say that. I mean, also awfully excited about Friday. We'll talk about that more in the show. Let's run through 3A and 4A for those of us who especially were at 1A or 2A and really didn't get a chance to follow along with a lot of the action. Franklin holds on to their number 1 seed. They were heavy favorites going in, and they defended it all the way. They beat Munster 56-19. They beat Lowell 37-24. They beat Bloomington South 39-24. And once again, you're talking about only giving up 14 points to Delta. Anybody's only given up 24 points to Lowell, considering they've got 5 guys who were wrestling at Super 32 or whatever, in December. It's awfully impressive.
They got 2 number 1s on our team right off the bat.
Bloomington South picks up the win. They upset Columbus East in the semifinals, and that was by 15 points, so very much deserved for them to finish in second. And 3A definitely belonged to the South, as Franklin and Bloomington South are in the top 2, and Columbus finishes 4th. Lowell came back and got 3rd, 48-26. 5th place went to Roncalli. Floyd Central were 6th. New Pal was 7th, and Munster took 8th. Munster beat Decatur Central. That was one of the few upsets in the quarterfinal round.
Now, Dane, you've been to Franklin Community High School, haven't you?
Yep, I've broadcast the team state from there.
That is a beautiful building. When you drive up, you think, what is this? It doesn't even look like a school. It looks like some sort of mall out in the middle of the nowhere.
Our guests can attest to this, I think, because I've been there for dance, and I've been there for wrestling, and you see both sides of it, and it's a phenomenal school, and it's one of those places that really deserves the credit for being a host of big events for all kinds of things.
My MapQuest took me to the back door to the loading dock, and I don't see any more buses, so I started driving. It takes 5 minutes to drive around the building. Just get to the other side of it, and they get around, and it's like there's all these school buses that I'm in a right place now.
They are certainly blessed, and
well, they had ISW some kind of tournament there today, because they just said just leave everything sit because we're wrestling.
The elementary duels were there as well. So let's not forget those who went into the losers bracket right away. Decatur Central beats Hobart 36-34, and Plainfield beat New Haven 38-33. And that is once again such a great example of why we expanded these brackets to 12 teams, right? I mean, anytime that you can get 2 high school teams with full lineups wrestling 30-something to 30-something, that's what it's all about. So Decatur Central ends up, I believe they won on a 36-36 criteria match against Plainfield for 9th.
Plainfield, did you say Plainfield?
Yeah, there you go. And Coach Jones was really excited about the weekend and what that meant for their program, and that's going to be one to watch going forward as well. And shout out to New Haven. They beat Hobart 44-31. I'll be totally honest with you. I would have pegged New Haven for an 0-3 day. I didn't think they had a chance to beat anybody. So, shout out to them. And, anytime that you discount Coach Lynn or Coach Barron, you end up learning a lesson and realize those guys are tougher than nails.
Yeah, and some of our pre-show guests were leaving, and one lady said, "Mr. Brewer, why do you have a Plainfield wrestling shirt on?" And I said, "Because Dane and I are shameless. We will take free shirts from anybody, and we will wear them on the show." So you're wearing a Noblesville shirt there, right?
Yeah, I got a Noblesville shirt on, and I would just reiterate my stance on a lot of those things. I love high school wrestling, and when Belmont's out, I'm watching everybody else, and I'm not just concerned. And even when Adams Central and Belmont and South Adams, I spent a Saturday in December at Westfield watching all of those teams just because I enjoyed it so much. So I love seeing coaches who are excited about their programs, who are excited about the success of their kids and opportunities for their kids to go out and do something fun. For a lot of those kids, it may be different for some of the teams who didn't get to travel all that far, but for some of those teams, I would think it's probably their only overnight trip of the season. Mm-hmm. And a lot of those teams, they bring their JV guys. And I know I've talked to Coach Sean Farrow about this before, but like just taking the JV guys on an overnight trip and making them feel like a part of the team probably goes a long ways towards getting them to come back again next year.
Yeah.
Because who wants to sit around and wrestle a JV schedule in today's age and not be a part of the team? And you get into those situations, and they're just a lot of fun. And when it comes down to it, we're talking about 15 and 16-year-old boys who, that's kind of an experience for them. You should have seen the smile on those kids' faces when I came back from my Mexican meal, and they were coming down the sidewalk with a bag of who knows what they were buying. Probably not anything that was going to help them on the scale, but I guess that's how it goes.
I had somebody at church ask me this morning, Rex, I turned on the radio on 1A and you were on there. Why were you on with Adams Central and South Adams? I said, well, Dane's got a daughter that goes with the Belmont team, so we flipped this year. So last year he was there, and I said, Josh was on. I thought Josh might be here tonight. Josh was on. The judge sent us both a note so that Josh and I work really good together, and it's nice to have that South Adams connection. I don't have a real good South Adams connection. I know the AC guys. I know some of their dads and stuff, but for us to branch out and to have Josh have that South Adams feel there, I mean, I think it allowed us to cover all three teams as well as possible.
Yeah, and some of it just comes down to logistics. I know some people like to complain just carte blanche, but when you go to a tournament and you got two different teams wrestling in two different corners, you can't see, both, and that makes it really, really difficult, especially when teams don't go out of their way to provide you with lineups. They don't provide you with information, and they just kind of go along with the flow, and wrestling coaches sometimes are notorious for that. I did give a shout-out to the Belmont coaches. We were set up for one mat where they wrestled their first two matches, and then we had to switch, and we just kind of moved our table. And there was about one bout where the Belmont coaches stood in front of us. I didn't say anything. I didn't pull a Rex.
Get out of my way!
And at one point, they looked back, and then they looked back again, and then they realized, oh, the radio's there, and they moved out of the way. And that's one of the nice things. And yeah.
Well, we were set right in the row of wrestling score tables, right in the middle. We were right in the middle of them. So we were set to look at mat number 13 that South Adams and Alexandria wrestled on the first match, and then Adams Central wrestled right there. But then they threw us a curve, and they put South Adams on 14, which is behind us. So we had our laptop here, and we were turning around calling it over our shoulder. And then at one time, we had Adams Central and South Adams on the mat at the same time on mats over there. So I was this way, and Josh is that way. But I tell you what, we had the best vantage point you could possibly have to cover that tournament. And they both were on two mats all day long. So it's not like we had to pick up and move or anywhere. And it worked out pretty well for us. And thanks to Franklin Community for their hospitality.
I had to delete a comment off of our Facebook page. Somebody made a post that all we care about is Belmont, and why would anybody expect us to have Adams Central or South Adams on the radio? It was funny because we didn't have Belmont on the radio, and here you were calling an AC and South Adams match at the same time, which was on the radio, while Belmont was on YouTube.
Why did I drive 294 miles this weekend for if I'm not going to cover Adams Central and South Adams?
People like to complain. So we hope everybody enjoyed the coverage. Sometimes you show up and they haven't made any plans for you, and it makes it awfully difficult. But we try to do the best that we could do. And, we were the only media outlet there. Yeah. There was nobody else there covering any of those three teams, so we did the best that we could. Crown Point wins 4A, 34-32, in an amazing duel. Looking at the results, an upset. Brownsburg ranked 15th nationally. Maybe one of the biggest upsets we've ever had in the 4A team state.
Steve had a little text here, and Josh and I will attest to this. Because we were right next to the scorer's table, this one guy, referee, kept looking at us, and he said, "You didn't reset the clock." And it's like,
we're radio.
And then they come over and they drop the blood kit off to us. And Gloria says, "No, we don't want a blood kit here." And they moved the blood kit. like all day long, people come up to us, and this girl come up and she said, "Can you make an announcement for me?" I said, "No, I cannot."
My wife was doing a little bit of athletic trainer work at one point. Brownsburg beat Mater Dei 42-17 in the semis. Crown Point beat Center Grove 43-22 in the semis. The third place match went to Center Grove. They won over Mater Dei 40-16. Avon beat Cathedral for fifth place 38-37. And Westfield beat Noblesville 55-14. I tell you what, Noblesville loved being there. I saw Coach Weimer. I think he probably knew that they had a pretty good chance to finish in 8th place, and they enjoyed the heck out of it anyways. He was making Facebook posts throughout the day on Friday and Saturday, and it just speaks to how much people enjoyed being part of the event.
Yeah, it was a good day all the way around.
Well, let's go with our next set of ads here, and we'll be right back with Josh Howard.
Hello, this is Joel from your local hometown Packaged Liquors. Packaged Liquors provides the best selection of domestic, import, and craft beers in Z-Lane. With locations in Decatur, Monroe, Bern, and Markle, you're always just a short drive away from picking up the perfect last-minute gift or just the right six-pack to watch the game with friends. You're never a stranger when you walk through the doors, and our smiling staff never has a problem giving you a recommendation when you're not sure what it is you need. Stop in at one of our 4 locations and see what hometown service looks like. Packaged Liquors, it's where your friends shop.
Based out of the Indiana Tech Wrestling Facility, the Warrior Regional Training Center is an elite training center for youth wrestlers, high school wrestlers, and college and senior level athletes. Featuring a college coaching staff with a strong history of developing talent and producing results, Warrior RTC will give any wrestler quality training partners to push them to new levels in the state-of-the-art 25,000 square foot wrestling building. The training is affordable and private training is also available. Put Warrior RTC in your corner this season. Locally owned and operated by Shane Reynolds and family, DDD Maintenance and Repair is your place to go for heavy-duty truck and diesel engine repair. Located just outside of Monroe, DDD Maintenance and Repair also offers sand and glass blasting for all of your surface restoration projects. Whether you're looking to get your truck or diesel engine to run like new, or your metal restoration project to look like new, we have a blast renewing the past. Give Shane and the guys a call at 223-5442. That's DDD Maintenance and Repair.
The staff at Haggard, Hirschy, and Zelt Funeral Home is honored to serve the community we love and live in. Locally owned and operated by Ryan Hirschy and Eric Zelt, we understand that each family we serve and each life lived tells a unique story. Our goal is to offer comfort, care, and dignity to all who entrust their loved ones to our care. We are proud to call Adams County our home and look forward to serving you for generations to come.
Welcome back once again to the Double Eagle Clubhouse Grille for our next segment of the Haggard Hirschy Zelt High School Wrestling Weekly, and we're joined by our good friend Josh Howard, who we see multiple times throughout the season. How you doing tonight, Josh?
Pretty well.
Thanks for joining us in person tonight. And I was going to ask you right away, you were involved in some of the pairings for setting officials on certain mats and that kind of thing. What kind of work goes into that, and how much consideration do you put into making sure that everything's got covered and that you got enough assistant referees? Did you have enough referees yesterday that every mat had 2 guys all the way through?
We did. It was a task this year. Past years it hasn't been an issue because girls regional was on Friday, but now that they moved it to Saturday, you need 48 officials for girls regional, and it takes from our pool. So we did have enough. We had 32 officials, which is enough for 4 mats per class. But it was a chore. We were working on it since the summer.
I saw a lot of officials that I'd never seen before at 1A and 3A.
Same thing at Brownsburg. But, having an assistant referee is so important in that team state duels because, you get to the individual tournament, and I know that people still care about winning sectional and winning regional. But for the most part, most of the contentious decisions at those individual tournaments in the IHSAA are about who wins and who loses. Yep. But every single point matters in these team state duels. It doesn't matter whether it's 16-2 or whether it's 2-2. Both sides are coaching as much as they possibly can.
Absolutely.
Whereas you get to that, I always think of that first round at regional, right? You've got the guys who are just tickled pink that they made it out of sectional, and they know they're going home. They know what they're eating for lunch, and that they're not going to make weight again for 9 months. But that's totally different at a team event like this. And if you want to lend credit and credence and legitimacy to a tournament like that, you've got to have a full complement of officials.
And we were lucky enough that Mr. Falcons allowed us to take some of the guys who probably otherwise would have been doing a girls regional and use them for team state without penalizing those guys from the opportunity to get to the girls state finals. So it was helpful that he gave us a handful of officials who've had state experience, who've been in team state, to kind of lead the way, so to speak, for some of the guys who haven't done it. So it was nice that we had that baseline.
So Josh, I can count maybe 5 matches where I saw where an assistant referee made a call that either helped the official change his ruling or overruled. A couple of takedowns where a referee was looking to see if there was back points or something being scored, and they looked back and he said, no, his foot was out of bounds, and they wiped them all off. Another one just the opposite way in the championship match, a guy goes to takedown, and the referee said, no, he's out of bounds, and the assistant referee said, no, his foot was in when the control was made, and they overturned it, and it's like, that was pretty good refereeing there.
Two-man mechanics, it's very, very important, and I love working with an assistant. And I always tell my assistant, unless it's some guy I've already worked with and he doesn't want to hear from me again, but to call the match in their head. Yeah. So they're calling the same match I'm calling. They're just calling it from a different angle. And then if we have those situations, we get together, we discuss it, and it's very important that neither official has too much pride to change a call or to say, I'm not going to do anything different there.
Well, if I was just a radio guy and had no idea what was going on in the referee, and I wouldn't say this, but there was one match because everybody thought we were the score table anyway. Time had expired, and the assistant referee on their side was standing on the side, not in position to see the clock and see there, and they started yelling at the table because they didn't have a towel. They weren't ready to towel. If I'm refereeing, I'm on the backside. I'm looking at you, the wrestlers, and I'm looking at the clock, and I'm counting you down. When that runs out, that's your job to know that time is up, and you call it out. Don't yell at the table help because they didn't throw a towel. You shouldn't need a towel.
Yep.
Okay, but why can't we have buzzers? That's the one thing.
Oh, it was a buzzer, but it's like
no. There were 0 buzzers at Brownsburg, and I don't like to complain about those things. Sometimes I just keep them to myself, but sometimes I just don't understand why we can't have a buzzer. I get that there's 4 mats going on, but it seems like most of the kids are used to that noise and understanding. I don't know. What's your take on that?
Well, if you're not going to have a buzzer, you absolutely should have a towel person. Absolutely should have somebody because, yes, the assistant referee should have an idea of what the time is. But if we get into a situation where it's a scramble or it's a tight call on the edge, the assistant referee needs to be focused on what's happening in the action as opposed to trying to keep an eye on the clock. And that's where you need that either a towel person or you need a buzzer, or what we use at state finals, which unfortunately there's not a lot of these out there, are those wrist buzzers that are synced to the clock. Those are wonderful because you don't have to worry about
those. Make a lot of sense.
But the problem with that is the company that made them went out of business.
There you go.
Nobody else.
Go into business. Start your own company. Start making them.
Nobody else makes them. Nobody wants to maintain them. So when they're gone, they're gone. That's the whole thing.
See, Dane and I said that 5 years ago we should have invested in those neoprene shoulder braces.
Oh. Because everybody's tearing their labrum. Yeah, they're all over.
And Hanover Central, I think, have half their team in them, and some of them were doubled up.
I see a lot of.
I also, while we have you today, I also wanted to give you an opportunity to talk about the work that Chuck Barnett did for Team State and has done for many years. Mm-hmm. I know in our little group that's been meeting since July to get ready for this event Saturday, he sent out some thanks to you and some credit to you, but I figured you'd want to say a little bit about how much work he did for the Team State.
This is Chuck's wheelhouse. He loves this kind of stuff. He loves coordinating. Chuck knows more about the history of wrestling, the people involved in wrestling in Indiana than anybody I know. I mean, you could bring up somebody's name and he's like, oh yeah, he was the so-and-so from this school way back, and you go, Chuck, I don't know what your backstory is. That's crazy.
I think he makes half of it up. He doesn't know. I know Chuck pretty well.
I mean, he has connections all over the state. He knows all these officials. I mean, I've learned a lot from him because the goal is at some point I'm going to take over for him on this. It probably won't be as knowledgeable as he is with everything because I don't think anybody would be. But yeah, Chuck does the lion's share of this work. He gave me a lot of credit, and I did do a lot of work, but don't take anything away from him. He was doing a lot behind the scenes.
Well, one thing that we probably should mention is that nobody did more work than Pat Culp this weekend.
No, I believe that.
And, I don't think enough people realize, certainly yesterday, she was kind of tucked underneath the stands of where all of the fans were, so they couldn't even really see her working. But she did an incredible amount of work. And, we had her on here on the very first show of the season, and that was probably the 25th time that I had talked to her about Team State on November, whatever day that was that we started the season. She and Greg Ratliff went through and looked at venues and discussed those, and we had group chats in July and in August and all of those types of things. So just a lot of credit to Pat Culp and to Greg Ratliff, who once again doesn't even live in Indiana. He's off, I don't know, he was at the Rose Bowl and then Peach Bowl, and I don't know how he's... No wonder he left for Ohio, I guess.
Well, I must say that
credit.
You had Pat at your place, and then I had her assistant, and I walked in and said, yeah, Pat said I can get a hard line. She goes, I know nothing about it. And I was like, oh, here we go. She goes, but the switch is right there. And I was like, got it. So I looked up. So thanks to Pat and her team to get us hooked up for that. That brings this segment to the end. Let's play around the commercials. Back with more High School Wrestling Weekly here on WZBD.
Are you tired of the way your driveway looks? Do you think about replacing your sidewalks or adding new ones every time you walk out of the house? Call Taylor Gage Concrete in Decatur. Taylor is a proud member of the new generation of construction professionals in Adams County and has a strong reputation for good, honest concrete work no matter the size of the project. Reliable, affordable, and dependable, Taylor Gage is your man for your next concrete project. Call TG Concrete at 223-8128 for your next sidewalk, patio, or driveway.
You hear it all the time. Do you have the right insurance coverage? But are you really taking that question seriously? Josh Book may be stationed in his home office in Noble County, but he's ready to serve you if you're listening to this broadcast, no matter what county you're in, and help you get the best insurance for your farm, business, or home. A proud insurance agent with Farm Bureau Insurance, Josh is ready to have a conversation with you about the rates you're paying and the coverage you're getting. Give him a call and have that important conversation with an experienced Farm Bureau agent today. Find out more at infarmbureau.com.
When you need high school class rings or Team State rings, the man to call is Rod Williams of the Herff Jones Company. Rod can also help you seniors with all of your graduation needs. Give Rod a call at 927-0672. That's 927-0672, or like him on Facebook. Rod Williams of the Herff Jones Company is proud to help sponsor wrestling on WZBD. Wygand Construction in Fort Wayne is committed to providing quality, value-based construction services, and that commitment begins with our employees. We strive to anticipate and exceed clients' expectations, honor our commitments, and provide for the communities in which we live. If this sounds like the place where you'd like to work, visit our website at Wygand Construction to see our open positions and fill out an application. We want you on our team. Wygand Construction. Trust, well built.
Soda House is opening their own brick-and-mortar store in the plaza next to Rural King in Decatur with a wider range of drinks, including diet colas and beverages. Soda House will also sell candy and snacks and hot beverages. Featuring curbside pickup and delivery, Soda House will be open 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Thursday and as late as 10 p.m. Fridays and Saturdays. Visit Soda House and enjoy their holiday menu through the end of January.
Welcome back once again to the Haggard Hirschy Zelt High School Wrestling Weekly, hosted by the Double Eagle Clubhouse Grille. And Dane, I don't feel lonely now. You know why? Another Hall of Famer just walked in.
That's right. You guys are kind of linked together because of your mutual Hall of Fame inductions in October.
We carry those so close to our vest. We have our plaques with us at all times. That's how much it means to us.
I like it.
She doesn't have it.
Well, we're going to review the girls' side of things here at the end of our show, and we want to give a shout-out, of course, to the regional winners. And once again, for the girls' side of the tournament, this is the last level of the tournament before state. And so we were talking about how important and how big of a feather in the cap of the Belmont Braves it would be if they won a semi-state title, and that's effectively what these girls are winning. And up at Plymouth, it was Crown Point who beat Hobart by 24 points to win their regional title. And then, Josh, you were just sharing some stories about Kokomo. Why don't you reiterate that?
Oh, well, I was just talking about, I did the 235 third place match, and you guys probably know this. Girls matches in general are louder than boys matches. They just are. And this 235 match is going on, and it's just, a regular match, and it was the loudest the gym had been the whole time. And I was trying to figure out what was going on as I'm focusing on the match. And when we get done, it was Benton Central. I can't remember who the other team was, but the Rochester team was going nuts. And Rochester wasn't involved in the match. And I come to realize as I'm driving home, I pull it up, that Rochester won the team title by 2 points. So they were going crazy because with Benton Central having lost that match, they won the team title. But it was very, very loud.
So Rochester wins it with 79 points. Benton Central finishes second with 77, and New Haven third with 75. And some other really good teams in that regional as well. McCutcheon's had a very good year. Terre Haute North has had a very good year. And a team like, West Lafayette Harrison and even Logansport has had an awfully good season. They're down at 8th or 10th. And that just speaks to the depth that we're going to see here coming up on Friday for the state finals. We had the call of the Muncie Central Regional. Dave Nathan, A.J. Bradley, and Cole Mendez provided that for our listeners, and it was a runaway there. Franklin Central doubled up Beech Grove. They were awfully, awfully impressive, and I can't say that that's a surprise. Those two teams, Franklin Central and Crown Point, I think ranked 2 and 3 right now on my Indiana Mat rankings for the girls. And the number one team in the state, Whiteland, scores 203 points. And so I felt pretty good about my team rankings as I saw that number 1, number 2, and number 3 all won regional titles. Franklin finishes second. They have 116 points, and they lost by 87 points. So Mooresville, Bloomington, South Columbus East, all of those teams have had really good programs for the last couple of years. Seymour, also one of the early pioneers in that part of the state, they finished 6th. But it's going to be an awfully fun day on Friday. I wanted to pull up our girls' brackets here, and when we come into the next segment, we're also going to be talking to A.J. Bradley about his experience of working with Dave Nathan on WZB Radio. I asked Dave, what did you think? He said, I just tried to read as many scores as possible and just keep it going. He said that he could not believe how quickly the matches were going and how quickly they were throwing the next mat out onto the mat. And I said, yeah, that's the way it goes. You don't have a whole lot of time to
This isn't
adjust.
basketball where they walk around the whole game.
So looking at those 106 brackets, one of the things that jumped out to me right away, I guess it's just because we usually look at 106 first, and that is that number 1, Caitlin Foudy from Whiteland, who's undefeated, is going to end up wrestling potentially if the rankings hold Claire May, who's ranked number 2, right away in the quarterfinals, and so that's going to open up on the other side of the bracket someone to come through and make a name for themselves. Aaliyah Brown from Center Grove was your champion, and she's ranked 3rd, and she's on the other side of the bracket. Down towards the bottom, we want to give a special shout out to Adeline Sisson. I was just floored that I sent my book to give to Coach Sisson, and you said, well, he wasn't there. And I thought, how on earth can he be? I didn't realize that his daughter was already a freshman. And she qualifies for state. She's 26-2. She takes 3rd down there at that South Regional. So a shout-out to her.
Same thing, because I've seen a lot of coaches, and I walked over to Coach and said, hey, which one's Coach Sisson? And he goes, he's not here today. And I was like, your team makes it to team state. Why you're not here? And I said, can you give him this book? And he said, yeah. And I walked away, and that's where I left it at.
So locally, Katie Rouse takes 2nd at the Muncie Central Regional, and she will take on Annalisa Sanchez from New Haven. And once again, it's kind of funny the way those regionals and the alignments have changed, where we're so used to viewing things through the boys tournament, and there's some rumblings out there about potential changes next year in the boys tournament. We are so set. It's been, at least here locally, we haven't had a change in our sectional in now 24 seasons. And our regional, other than adding one other small school, has not undergone any sort of change in a lifetime for some people who are there. And so here we are talking about Jay County wrestling New Haven in the very first round of the state finals. Seems odd.
Yeah, I know, Josh. I don't know how much social media you follow, but what I've noticed is now that girls wrestling is starting to increase more, a lot of moms and a lot of dads are putting their daughters' matches on social media, and girls wrestling has really started. I know it's algorithms that bring more videos to you and start watching that, but I've seen a lot more girls wrestling videos coming in because girls wrestling is the fastest growing sport in the United States right now, and it is so popular. And you see a lot of these TikTok moms that come on and go, I don't know anything about wrestling. Are you supposed to be at this tournament for like 12 hours? And how long do you have to sit here? And along with wrestlers learning how to wrestle, you have new parents being introduced into the new sport that they don't really know what to expect.
Well, I was just talking to another official about that on Saturday. He was talking about how he sees all these officials that we know on TikTok videos of matches from parents that are uploading their girls or their boys wrestling. So.
Yeah, see, a couple of times I go, wait a minute, I recognize that guy, and then you just pan back and you might see the banner across the front of the score table, like, oh, that's at such and such.
Yep.
At 105 pounds, it looks awfully likely that we are going to see a pretty special match in the finals as Isabel Ocampo is there. She's ranked number 1. She's a 2-time defending state champion, and she's on the opposite side of Ella Nybert, who was the state champion last year for Indian Creek at 100 pounds. And so you got a pair of state champions potentially facing off in the finals there. And I was glad to see that they were on opposite sides of the brackets.
I think Isabella picked up her 100th win of her career. I saw her post with her and her plaque, 100 wins. So you see a lot of girls picking up their 100th win now this season.
Which is wild because we say this all the time. We're talking about the girls, but you go back 5 or 6 years and you just can't imagine that any of these girls would have picked up enough matches to have 100 wins. So Haley Corporal was your champ at the Muncie Central Regional. She's ranked number 1 in the state. And a quick glance here at the rest of the brackets. She's on the opposite side of number 2, Anne-Marie Schuler. And the girl from Whiteland, I did not see on the bracket. So,
Josh, I was talking to another referee a week or so ago, and they had the Muncie Central girls sectional, and whoever I was talking to, I can't remember, they said that Haley Corporal is one of the most technically sound wrestlers they've seen, boys or girls, this year, and she's ranked number 1 for a reason. She's pretty good.
Well, the level of wrestling for girls just over the last couple of years has gone up significantly. I mean, significantly more technical, more physical. I mean, it's a lot easier and more fun to officiate when it is that way, because you're not worrying about, you worry about safety, but you're not worrying about them not knowing how to land or how to do a certain technique. Now you can actually focus on what's happening.
And I think a big part of that is that more girls tournaments have taken place over the summertime. You talked about Katie Rowlands, my interview with her after sectional. She said that she rattled off 4 or 5 places she listed that were 6-7 states away where she went and wrestled this summer. So it's those big tournaments that are allowing those girls to get more matches in to get those experience. So with that, let's send it for a round of commercials. Back with our next segment right after this here on WZBD.
Shop local. It's a phrase we hear all the time, but for the staff and family at Package Liquors, it means something extra. Package, with locations in Decatur, Monroe, Berne, and Markle, is a local family-owned business that has been serving local communities for decades. We take your support and patronage and return it by supporting local athletes on WZBD and donating to different organizations across Adams County. The next time you're deciding where to shop, shop local. Shop at Package. It's where your friends shop.
Established in 2018 and owned and operated by Kirby and Chastity Harkless, 4GND stands for 4 Girls and Dad, a fully licensed and insured general contractor serving the greater Decatur area. They can take care of your commercial needs from architectural engineering and design, state release, all the way to completion. They also specialize in new homes, new barns, remodels, additions, kitchens, and baths. They might not be a familiar name, but 4 Girls and Dad are built on years of experience working in the architectural world and hands-on construction.
Ho, ho, ho. 'Twas the season for giving, and throughout the community, neighbors shopped local with remarkable unity. They found clothes and toys that make children glad, sparkling jewelry for mom, electronics for dad. Why, everything you need to spread holiday cheer is all readily available right now and right here. This reminder to shop local for all your heart yearns comes with Merry Christmas wishes from First Bank of Berne.
When faced with the difficult task of making arrangements for your loved one, many emotions and questions arise. What would they want me to do if they were here? Where is the money coming from? How much should I spend? Do they want burial or cremation? The staff at Haggard, Hirschy, and Zelt Funeral Home can help you navigate these tough questions. Make your wishes known and allow us to make sure that your wishes are carried out. Call Ryan Hirschy or Eric Zelt at 260-724-7167 to schedule an appointment today.
Welcome back once again to the Double Eagle Clubhouse Grille for our next segment of the Haggard Hirschy Zelt High School Wrestling Weekly. And since we do have Josh Howard still on here with us, Dane, because we see Josh all around all season long, and because he takes the time to make sure that we have commercial ads, we've created a new award, and my son-in-law plays with his 3D printer, and Joe's not the only game in town. I'd like to present the first ever award, the Z Award, to
There
Josh
you go.
Howard. There you go.
You're now an honorary member of the Z team.
I love it.
High School Wrestling Weekly.
There you go. Take that home, put it on your mantel place.
Well,
I will put it.
well deserved. Well,
I appreciate that. Thanks, guys. That's
we
awesome.
continue our look here at the girls' state brackets, and at 115 pounds, everybody's been talking about the same girls all season long. And Rex, the reason that they've been talking about it is probably because when you go to ihsaa.org, you see the two girls right there, as Kinley Keffer and Kendall Moe have been on the IHSAA homepage now here for a couple of weeks, and maybe it's no coincidence that they found themselves on the opposite side of the bracket. Kendall Moe, of course, has switched schools. She's at Cathedral now. She's ranked number 1. She's a 3-time state champion. She's going to become one of the very few number 4s. And for Kinley Keffer, she's a 2-time runner-up. She wrestled Moe last year in the finals, and so we look forward to that one being a potential match there. But I did notice that if you look at the rankings, Macy Fordyce is a sophomore from West Lafayette. She's ranked number 5, and she's still undefeated. And she and Keffer are in the same quarter bracket, so that's one to keep an eye on for Friday as well. Let's see, what other matches do we have here as we scroll down to 120? Josh is still admiring his. You didn't know that you were going to get an award here,
I
did you?
did not. I would have prepared an acceptance speech.
It's worth the trip to the show. I've got 100 of them made up, so if anybody else would have showed up at the show, they'd have got one too.
Also at 120 pounds, the top 2 wrestlers in the state, 2 regional winners, are separated from each other. Marissa Nicholas, a sophomore from Rossville, and Michaela Perkins from Whiteland. There'll be somebody winning their first state title in that weight class. It's always great to see previous state champions wrestle other state champions, but it's also really cool to see somebody win for the first time. I'm really excited to get my first look at the number 1 ranked wrestler at 125 pounds from Hobart. We talked to the Hobart coach. I think he was one of the very first wrestling coaches that we talked to on the show this season, and he told us about this Corabella Wesley. She has maintained her undefeated start to her career. She's 38-0 now for the Brickies. She's a regional champion, ranked number 1 in the state.
We talk about matches, 38 matches for a girl. I mean, when we were talking girls wrestling 5 years ago, that was unheard of.
Ava Strayer is ranked number 1 at 130. I didn't get a chance to look through all of these. I was pretty sure that she won. Yeah, she did. She's at the bottom of the bracket, and Olivia Gibson of Logansport is the winner on the other side, as well as Abigail Gilbert from Hagerstown. She's in there as well. And as we scroll down then to 135, we get to some other familiar names here. Naima Ghaffar is who we were talking about during the commercial break. And she was a runner-up 2 years ago and a state champion last year. She is on the opposite side of Nevaeh Wilson, and the reason that she's on the opposite side is because Wilson picked up the win over Ghaffar in the regional finals. That was a matchup of 2 returning state champions. Ghaffar, your champ at 135 last year. Wilson, your champ at 130. And so that's going to be one. Those are 2 girls that we've been really familiar with from the last couple of years. If that one happens in the finals, that one will definitely be worth it because we've seen Wilson a lot, and she's awfully talented.
That should be a fun one.
At 140, Maddie Marsh, of course, is the name to know. Marsh is a 2-time defending state champion. She's undefeated. She's a junior, and she's definitely in that category of girls who are not seniors, but that you're thinking, yeah, potentially this girl's going to end up being a 4-timer. Looking at the rest of the bracket, she is on the opposite side of number 2, Jaslyn Diaz-Avalos, who is a senior, and she was in the finals last year as well, so that would be a good finals match as well. At 145 pounds, your top-ranked wrestler is Ava Allen, and of course, Allen was a champ as a freshman from Silver Creek, and then has lost in the finals each of the last 2 years, so we've seen some really cool redemption stories for some girls in recent years, and that would be a cool one to go from being a freshman state champ and suffering that heartbreak in sophomore year and junior year, and then to come back and win a state title would be awfully cool.
You know, like John Sheets winning a state champion freshman year and then 3rd place 3 times in a row.
Yeah, and thankfully, you know, John coming back and winning those 3rd place matches, I think spoke a lot about the character that he showed, and that obviously came through with the Mental Attitude Award winner. Charisma Lawrence is ranked number 2, and those two are on opposite sides, and Charisma Lawrence would potentially be a quarterfinal match against Lanessa Ocampo from New Haven, who was a state medalist last year.
That could be an interesting semifinal between Allen and Troutner from Huntington North.
Yes, and Rex will be very interested in what Mr. Troutner is wearing for the state finals on Friday. Rex, are we shirt and tie on Friday?
It's your call.
I think we better. We don't want to break tradition. Troutner was 3rd place last year at 140, and very good point there, Josh. That will definitely be a good semifinal between her and Allen if that's the way that it plays out. At 155, of course, we're talking about Alexandra Bostic from Highland. She is also a 3-time state champion. Turtles on the other side, Reagan Trineri from Garrett, and also Maylee Skinner. And so Trineri and Skinner would be a good semifinal there, as it looks like the bracket kind of looks like it's set up there. And Mary is cheering, I believe, a 49ers interception. And it looks like San Francisco is going to be headed to the next round of the playoffs. If you're not watching the football game, you're listening to us instead. And as we go to 170, let's see. Eleanor Robertson suffered her first loss of the season, and she was defeated by Annabelle Redmond, the freshman from Columbus East, who wins that regional. And so she goes on the opposite side from Robertson, but the same side as Lane Pepler from Rochester. So who else is on there? Emerson Atkins from Tipton is ranked number 4. And she is on the same side as Robertson. And Jada Miller from Crown Point on there as well. So a good top half of the bracket for sure at 170. Then at 190, Erin Cobble of West Lafayette Harrison is ranked number 1. She's undefeated. She was the runner-up last year at 235, and she's dropped down to 190. Trista Powers is the returning 3rd placer at 190, and she's on the opposite side there, so that's one to look for. And then when we get to 235, scroll down for the last one. Aubrey Bartowiak is a young lady that we gained a lot of respect for. If you remember this last year, Rex, she was an overwhelming favorite to win the state title last year and suffered a loss, I believe, in the semifinals.
Yep.
And just really conducted herself with a lot of poise, and we gained a lot of respect for her. So certainly be cheering for her.
I gained a lot of respect for her because I ran into her out in the hallway and realized that she towered over me.
Yeah, that's probably true,
She
too.
is very tall.
Bartowiak's on the bottom half of the bracket, and it looks like number 2 is on the opposite side. Rachel Adolph is also on the other side. She is the one who won the state title last year after Bartowiak lost in the semifinals. I can't remember if it was her who beat Bartowiak or not. But
she cut her in a headlock.
the level of wrestling there at 190 and 235 compared to 5 years ago is also significantly greater, and just makes for a really interesting day. And we really hope that you have an opportunity to join us. We're going to be trying to do a lot of interviews with IHSAA officials and coaches and wrestling supporters and wrestlers throughout the day, and we'll be live all throughout the day, bringing you as many matches and bouts as we can.
Is our plan to be on YouTube all day long, regardless of what we're on 927?
Yeah, I think the station may end up picking up some of our games or some of our matches, but we've got the ACAC basketball tournament on that evening as well. So, okay, well, let's play another round of messages here. When we come back, we'll have Coach A.J. Bradley.
Hello, this is Joel from your local hometown Package Liquors. Package Liquors provides the best selection of domestic, import, and craft beers in Z-Land. With locations in Decatur, Monroe, Bern, and Markle, you're always just a short drive away from picking up the perfect last-minute gift or just the right six-pack to watch the game with friends. You're never a stranger when you walk through the doors, and our smiling staff never has a problem giving you a recommendation when you're not sure what it is you need. Stop in at one of our 4 locations and see what hometown service looks like. Package Liquors, it's where your friends shop.
Based out of the Indiana Tech Wrestling Facility, the Warrior Regional Training Center is an elite training center for youth wrestlers, high school wrestlers, and college and senior level athletes. Featuring a college coaching staff with a strong history of developing talent and producing results, Warrior RTC will give any wrestler quality training partners to push them to new levels in the state-of-the-art 25,000 square foot wrestling building. The training is affordable and private training is also available. Put Warrior RTC in your corner this season. Locally owned and operated by Shane Reynolds and family, DDD Maintenance and Repair is your place to go for heavy-duty truck and diesel engine repair. Located just outside of Monroe, DDD Maintenance and Repair also offers sand and glass blasting for all of your surface restoration projects. Whether you're looking to get your truck or diesel engine to run like new, or your metal restoration project to look like new, we have a blast renewing the past. Give Shane and the guys a call at 223-5442. That's DDD Maintenance and Repair.
The staff at Haggard, Hirschy, and Zelt Funeral Home is honored to serve the community we love and live in. Locally owned and operated by Ryan Hirschy and Eric Zelt, we understand that each family we serve and each life lived tells a unique story. Our goal is to offer comfort, care, and dignity to all who entrust their loved ones to our care. We are proud to call Adams County our home and look forward to serving you for generations to come.
Welcome back once again to the Haggard Hirschy Zelt High School Wrestling Weekly, hosted by Double Eagle Clubhouse Grille. And we're joined on the phone now by Coach A.J. Bradley, who has ventured into the broadcast role of his career. How you doing tonight, A.J.?
I'm pretty good.
Well, Coach, did you enjoy yourself on the call on Saturday?
Yeah. I didn't get to be on as much as I wanted to because I had a bunch of other duties. But I tell you what, former Belmont wrestler Cole Mendez might have him a new career in broadcasting because he was great.
You know, when he was about 16 years old, he told us all the time how much he wanted to be on the radio, even when he was wrestling, and he finally got his wish to come true.
Oh, he loved it. And every time I had a free second to go up and, like, switch out with him, he never wanted to switch out. He said, I love this.
Well, hopefully we don't convince him to go into broadcasting and quit his coaching career.
I don't know. He talked about changing his major, so.
Well, we certainly could use all the help, and I definitely want to give a shout-out to you, not only for taking on the responsibility of hosting the girls' sectional and the girls' regional, but when I reached out to you and explained to you that because they had moved it to Saturday, that we were going to be short somebody to call the match and we weren't going to be able to provide coverage of a girls' regional, I think you understood what I was asking of you, and you made it work in your schedule and made sure that we were able to keep getting those girls the coverage that they deserve.
Oh, yeah, well, it's all about coverage for the girls. So, okay, we can make it happen. It's for the sport, so let's find a way to get it done.
Well, Coach, let's flip gears here a little bit, and let's go back to the boys' side of things because you're going to be part of a pretty cool night up here in Decatur on Tuesday as we welcome you to what used to be Belmont High School and Decatur High School, and we sort of wrestle old school.
Oh, yeah, we're excited about that. It was a couple months ago I got a call from Tim, He said, you guys got any points available? I said, yeah, what do you have in mind? He said, I got something special, but give me a couple days to make sure. And then he called me a couple days later and told me about it, and I was like, oh, I'd love to be a part of that.
So I'm not sure if it's completely set in stone, but I believe Belmont's going to attempt to wrestle in tights again on Tuesday.
Yeah,
you guys going to bring out some Muncie Central tights?
Oh, if I knew about it a little sooner, maybe, but that's going to be awesome, the old tights.
It will be a lot of fun. I know Tim busted out some retro singlets. I didn't get to go last year because I was doing another match. Rex got to do it, but it was pretty fun.
Yeah, they weren't singlets. They were the old school. The very first uniform I wore for Belmont High School in 1976 were the kind that you pulled a pair of tights on, and then you had a tank top that had buttons in the crotch, and you buttoned the crotch up, and then you pulled a pair of like swim trunks over the top of it and tied them off. So it was a three-piece uni, and he's went to that again. He's found a place to make them, and they're pretty much replicas of their very first uniforms that Belmont had.
Well, I'll tell you what, if we're going to do a true throwback night, I think Rex should call the match in one of those old singlets.
Well, no, that will not happen.
We certainly could talk a little bit of old school. I know you're the head coach of Muncie Central, but I know you're really a Muncie South guy. There were some great matches historically between Muncie South and Belmont for so many decades.
Oh, yeah, the 80s and 90s was a lot of back and forth, Belmont and Southside, whether it was the Bakers and Abbott and all the other people who wrestled. There was a huge history there.
You know, Coach, I'm pretty good friends with a lot of that guys from the 1990 state championship team of the Rebels, and I see a lot of those guys. It seemed like when I refereed every Saturday, and those guys are about 5 Saturdays a year, and I got to become pretty close with those guys, and I still keep track of them with Facebook, and I text them a lot of times, and that was a really good group of guys with Pease and Whitcliffe and Abbott and Foreman and Gonzalez. I mean, they had some pretty good guys on that team.
Oh, they were awesome. And then they went on to college and had great careers as well. It was a great team, but that Southside Belmont rivalry, like, still to this day, when Belmont has their golf outings, there'll be Southside wrestlers there in the golf outings. And when Abbott was having his at Cowan, there'd be Belmont guys show up. So even all these years later, there's still that respect and that like rivalry there. It just, goes past just wrestling.
Coach, tell us a little bit about your team and what Belmont fans can expect to see on Tuesday.
We are a very young team, finally starting to get everybody back. Very scrappy. Our goal is, the way that we wrestle is when the match is over, whether we win or lose, our goal is to know that you wrestled us. So we'll hand fight you all day long and try to punch you back in the mouth if you punch us. But hopefully we're able to put on a show.
Well, tell us a little bit about how your season's gone so far and where you guys have found success and where you found struggles.
I mean, we've been up and down this year. We had some success early when we beat Cowan. I went to Delta, was out a couple guys that didn't go so well, but then in Newcastle wrestled well. It's been hit and miss, but when it's hitting good. So we're finally healthy. It's looking like we're going to have everybody back fully for this meet. So I'm excited to see where we're at now after some of these growing pains.
And you can never brag enough about beating your brother in a dual meet, correct?
Oh, no, I still talk about it.
Well, I tell you what, Coach, during the sectional broadcast, you were up there in the booth with me. Your little brother come up there, and we had some real good conversations that you guys, regardless of what happens on a wrestling match, you guys are still pretty tight.
Oh, yeah. Always will be. We talked earlier today about wrestling.
Coach, will we see you on Friday at Indianapolis?
Yes, you will. I will be there. We got one girl there. We're excited. Excited to see how somebody else runs a tournament, and glad I don't have to run one for a weekend. So,
well, I don't know if you were listening to our previous segments, but we were running down all of the potential head-to-head clashes between past state champions meeting up in the same weight now, or rematches of previous years' state championship bouts. There are so many good matches to look forward to on Friday.
Oh, yeah, the wrestling's gotten better, and just to see how it's spreading out, I'm so excited to see some of these weight classes. Like these girls that are I still call it semi-state. It might as well be that. They call it regional. There was just some amazing matches there. So I'm so excited for Friday.
And, of course, the IHSAA has continued to build up their version of the state finals, and I have no doubt that Friday will be even better than last year.
Oh, I agree. It gets better, it gets run better, the wrestling's better, the spectacle gets better. I mean, everything about it just gets better.
No, AJ, you and I talked last week at the sectional about the crowd that was there. What did the crowd look like, and did it increase from sectional to regional for you at Muncie Central?
Oh, it increased dramatically. It sold a little over 1,000 tickets the last time I had talked to the people working at the door. My wife, in between her coaching duties, she also went and was helping at the concession stand, and she would just tell me it was crazy. It was just unreal, the amount of people that was there. Our AD said he hadn't seen that many people in the field house in over 10 years.
That's the kind of stuff that we like to hear. And, AJ, you were talking. Go ahead.
We were very happy about that because we didn't know what to expect with boys team state going on at the same time. And with a lot of indie schools in our reach, Cathedral was at team state and Center Grove was at team state. We didn't know what it would do to our crowd. It didn't seem like it impacted it at all, which I think is a good sign for girls wrestling.
Yeah, and I think that, and a lot of people maybe don't understand that, or they need convinced of that. But the expansion of girls wrestling is not necessarily doubling up fans. Instead, it's doubling the number of fans, and I think that's the most important part to understand, is that you're not just bringing in the Bruce Teamies, even though Bruce Teamie will be there on Friday. You're making new Bruce Teamies from another different part of the state who would have never gotten into wrestling just if it were boys.
Oh, and I agree. And it was proof of that was this Saturday, with us having that many people at ours, and I can only imagine how many people were at Kokomo and the other ones, plus the crowds at Boys State. Like, it's proof girls wrestling is becoming its own sport. It doesn't piggyback off the boys anymore.
Well, Coach, we look forward to seeing you guys on Tuesday. We look forward to seeing you on Tuesday. And I know you were talking about how the wrestling gets better, the IHSAA runs it better. And I'll tell you, every year after year, Rex just keeps getting better too.
Yeah, well, I don't know about that one. That might be a stretch. But
well, they don't put you in the Hall of Fame for nothing, right?
It's easy. It's easy to get in. Everybody can do it.
On wing with officiating, wrestling, and broadcasting.
Well, AJ, we appreciate you taking the time tonight, and always a great guest, whether you're here in person or we have you on the show here by a phone. But we appreciate that.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate you guys having me.
That was Coach AJ Bradley of the Muncie Central Bearcats, and Dane. We actually finished the show on time tonight.
Yeah, we're good. We got through all our ads, so I think we're good to go. And yeah, sometimes you just got to take a deep breath and talk about what you saw. And I know when we're in separate places and don't get a chance to really mesh our stories and make sure we know what happened, so that we have context for sectional and regional and rematches like that.
So do we go Tuesday, Thursday, Friday this week?
Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. No Saturday wrestling this week for us.
I thought Carroll was the following Tuesday.
Carroll is the following Tuesday.
Wait, we got Thursday.
This Thursday? Belmont and Yorktown. That one's at just the regular old TP.
Okay. My wife had said, "What do you got going this week?"
At least we don't have to drive back to Yorktown.
I thought I only had two. I thought I had two this week. I got three.
Well, you can stay home Thursday. I have to stay home Tuesday.
No good. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what. Pretty good show. The Placioses have showed up again and taken over the judge's #1 fan spot. I've let him know about that multiple times. He made his first appearance last week, and he thinks that he can show up once a month. That's not good enough to keep your #1 status. So I might have to give the Placioses a Z award.
And anytime Mary Freak shows up to a show, you know it's been a special one.
Yeah, when Mary's on her way home and says, "Hey, I think the show's still on," he stops in there.
So join us again on Friday morning. We will have a show from 8:30 until 9:30, and then we'll turn off the show, and we'll turn on our regular broadcast, and we will bring you I remember last year we had so much fun with the Parade of Champions because where we were positioned, everybody kind of walked by us first. And we got all of our friends and all these guys that we've talked to, all of these girls that we've interviewed throughout the season, and you get to wave and say hi to them all. And it was a great start to the tournament, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, Josh can attest to this as well, but that field house down there is the perfect place for girls' state finals because it's not huge, but it's big enough that it makes those girls feel like it's the state finals at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. It has that same look. When you're standing on the floor and you kind of look up, it kind of looks like Gainbridge inside. So I think it's a great venue. I'm glad that the ISSAA has repeated and brought it back there, and I hope that that is the home for the girls' state finals for here on out.
And I'm just putting this out there. I hope they don't have to bring my own bologna sandwich on Friday, and that they got some food for it. Remember we had to pack our own lunches last year?
They didn't have any.
They didn't have anything for us.
Yes, they did. They did. It was up in that corner.
No, you're thinking of the boys' state finals.
No.
I think I packed my own sandwich. We're going to have to call Robert about this.
No, they had it. It was up around that corner, up in that wing up there. I knew exactly where it was. I was up there numerous times.
You were up there? No, that must have been it. You were up there and I was down on the floor.
No, we're good. I know right where it was.
Oh, I want to give a shout out too. We've got a photographer coming for WZBD.com who's going to be taking pictures and corresponding with us as well. Going to be kind of a roving reporter. We're looking forward to that.
I want to give props to our Adams Central WZBD photographer who is sitting right next to me. Here's a tip. When Max Carr is wrestling, don't be sitting right next to the WZBD reporter.
Miles Carr.
Miles, okay, one of the cars. Don't be sitting right next to the reporter because there's a lot of this going on. So she's a sweetheart. So.
She does a nice job for us, and we certainly appreciate her dedication to giving the boys the coverage that they deserve.
Well, with that, we wrapped up another segment of the Haggard Hirschy Zelt High School Wrestling Weekly, and tune in on Friday for our next show.